Hi, I'm just going to go through a couple of things in relation to the gullet width in here that we often get quoted concerning the widths of trees, whether they be semi quarter horse, thoroughbred bars, or whatever other name that people give them. It's a constant thing that we're trying to explain and figure out. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things that might clear this up. I've got some text marks on here, as you can see. I've got this forward mark, I've got one here at the back, and I've also got the actual, that's the gullet width is right in between those two marks, roughly. You can see I've got them on both sides. Now, if we're having a look at this saddle here and measure the true gullet width, we're looking at about, you can see where I've got the ruler measured like up against there on that side, and across here, I'd call that, I'll get that to focus, 6 3/4. That's about, as close as you're going to get. So 6 3/4. Now, keeping all things the same, we're not going to be able to move anything else here. All I've done is made those text marks there. Now assume we make the swell or fork on the front of this saddle 1/4 inch thicker. So all we're going to do is make this here flare out a little more as we build it to come out to this mark. So we're not going to change the angles, the bar widths, or anything else. We're just going to change that width or the thickness in here. So we're going to make this slightly thicker. What we do is we move that measuring point from there out to here. So remember, we had 6 3/4 inches before. So now if we move to here and here, already we're out to 7 inches. So it's 1/4 inch wider. Now the opposite's true. If you make the swell thinner, it drops back to 6. I can't get the ruler in there, but you've got to believe me when I tell you there's the 6 1/4 mark. It'd go back into that mark we've got in there. If I get my tape measure out, which I can't do one-handed, it would be 6 1/4. So we've gone from 6 3/4 back in there to 6 1/4, but nothing's changed except the thickness of the front and where it meets on the bar, which is on that, not 45 degrees, but pretty close to 45-degree angle. And it's also on an angle out. It's not straight up and down this way, it's also on an angle that way, which increases this gullet measurement. So this gullet measurement to us doesn't really mean a whole lot unless you're comparing it with all things being equal, and the most important thing is the thickness of the swell. And we see that also if we just come on over here to a fender saddle and where the knee pads actually come down and meet the bar itself, exactly where we're going to be measuring that. I'd say from that point about there on this saddle is where we'd use. But once again, if we make this like thinner back here or thicker, it increases the width that's measured across the front, but it doesn't mean anything because the bars haven't moved. It's just the thickness of this front. If anything, this measurement across here has more to do with the width of the bars or the gullet than the one across the front, which is most often used. Anyway, I hope that clears that up just a little bit and gives you something to think about. Be interested to see some of your comments. Okay,